All right, it's called Village of Crosspoints Finance and Advisory and Enhancement Committee meeting to order. Do a roll call.
Okay, Tim Hillebrand.
Here.
Dave McClure.
Here.
Paul Barth. Lauren Savard. Michael Polmakowski.
Here. All right. I can't read that call. Thank you. Public comment for anyone to address the Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee. Please reserve the time of 3 minutes while the Finance Advisory and Enhancement Committee encourages input from residents and may not discuss traffic on any issue. Is not duly noticed on the agenda. Please. Is there anyone online?
Nope.
Okay, well, let's keep going.
Can you make that a little bigger for you, Michael?
Committee chairperson, I do not have any report outs at this time. We're not going to be talking about it in the meeting. Any members of anything they would like to report out?
I do. I don't know if you should put me down as at least staff or something on there to show that I'm here.
Yep.
The good news is we got a congratulation on the grant for a lot of the amenities for the new village hall. It still has to go through 2 committees, but I guess it's pretty comfortable that we've got it. We can start spending money at our own risk. Hold off until we get a letter that actually signed. That was kind of an interesting thing. The other thing that you guys probably, just to keep you up since you did so much work on, is the EMS. That's moving along. It's probably going to come to a head the next couple of months. The good news is that of almost all the changes, I think there's agreement, except for, which is the bad news, the big one, which puts some type of a cap on the operating cost without getting approval of boards and stuff. So we'll see what we can work out. The bizarre part of it is there's 2 things that just so you stay out, because I met with Greg. He's kind of leading the town part of it, and he wasn't at the last meeting. So I told everybody I was going to meet with him to push things forward. 2 things. One, he's going to push for including equalized value into the formula, which is common with a lot of EMSs. They use population, calls for service, and equalized value. His numbers, he was telling me, puts it where our cost would go down 10%, Springfield goes 10%, and theirs goes up 20%. In my head, that doesn't make any sense. In fire, who just uses equalized value, we're at 54, the town's at 28. I don't know, but that's what he said. But that's one of the bizarre things. I just haven't spent time to go through the numbers. But anyways, that's there. And then the other part of it is his belief is the agreement goes forever. There's no end date to this agreement. And the only way to break it is by someone leaving the district. And I checked that with Paul today, and he agrees that a lot of them are written that way. You know, that's how they wrote them back in, yeah, in the 70s and stuff. So I thought that was bizarre that it's a 5-year contract, and I understand that the contract stays in effect until a new one is decided. But I thought there had to be a mechanism to bring it up. So we'll see. We have another meeting, the 11th, with everybody there. So we'll just see where we're at with that. But I just wanted to keep you guys up to date on that, since we did so much work and took a lot of hits and everything like that. So that's where that is right now.
Anyone else?
My questions about invoices will be later, right?
Yeah. I don't know, did you want to talk about the Dane Commer fire dues? No, or
The Dane come up because that's something I was looking into. I don't know if that's time to bring up now for this topic or later. I do it now. So we remember back in November, I brought up Dane Common, and we can research how it's built. Is it by the squad cars and fire trucks and ambulance we have and PW? It's a very, I can talk to that. He's in charge of it, but basically, it's based on your assessed value of your municipality and population. And,
Is it equalized value or assessed value?
well, I have to look back.
I'm guessing they probably would use equalized because that's supposed to make it all fair. It's not fair if we're assessed at 80% and someone else is at
I think
100.
you're right, because there's then it goes into a further breakdown of how they kind of both those numbers, the population times 2, and the assessed value times 2, and then you divide it by number 4, and city masses take it out of loop because they have their own system. But anyways, my point that I was looking for, are we overpaying for services that are extending out? And it sounds like, no, it doesn't matter if we had 100 squad cars or 100 fire trucks. It's the amount is based on population, the village is assessed that, so there's no separate fee based on what we do. Interesting. Yeah, I should send you that memo. Like, he really gets into detail about 2 different ways, and like, well, mind blowing that they would even go that far.
Thanks for listening.
That's surprising.
That's clear, yeah.
I'm surprised it would be a number of units in service.
Well, back when I was in the county, back communication center board, there was a town that even like, by every chance to feet of mine. So it was long that. So you could have somebody just some giggles, and not, or fee it, then like, well, I fee it again. I mean, that's how sophisticated they were trying to take it out to who should pay for what, for usage, and so this makes more sense. But
Sorry. Well, welcome. We are on committee member report outs right now. Or feel free. Aside from being.
I'll sort of in charge.
No. Thank you. Do you have any reports, Bob?
I don't have anything to share. Nope.
Okay. We'll move on to the general business discussion and possible approval of the January 6th, 2026 Finance and Advisory and Enhancement Committee minutes. I have a motion to approve. So move. Second. Motion and second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, minutes are good. Discussion regarding review of purchase policy, or review of purchases and policy bid calculation forms. If any.
All right, I'm gonna start. Tim had emailed me Monday with some questions and I didn't get back to him, so I told him I would address them tonight. So he had a question. This must have been on the last, because he was here last meeting, so this is from last meeting. So Jen Phelps is like our main yoga instructor, and she had at some point in the past negotiated for a bonus. So not only did she get like her $60 per class, she gets, so what it's calculated, we take in all the revenues for people who take her class minus the expenses, and then whatever the profit is, she gets 20% of that. And so that's what that bonus is for her. Northwest Dane, there was a $5,000+ payment. That's for the daycare, or not daycare, after school and full day camp uses their space all year. So that's just helping to pay like their utilities.
So it's not a one.
It wasn't a 1-day thing, it was for the whole year. Yep. There were a couple of invoices paying Stresscrete for light poles for lot 56. And that was not just one light pole. Is there more than one? Or is there just one light pole there?
I think there's just one.
Oh, I guess, yeah, because the other ones are corners, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just one.
So maybe one invoice might be like for the post and one for.
sometimes they're, yeah, I was almost.
They're the same lot, that's my question. So there's lot 56 on both of them.
So it's that big lot that got divided into 20 lots and they put a
Yeah,
road.
so they kept, it's still a lot, we still identify it as lot 56, it's just been subdivided.
These may look like 3,001 and almost 1,000 on the next one, there's one left over.
Well, yeah, it's possible since it's a concrete pole, and one of those invoices might have been for the pole, and the other one might have been for the metal piece that was put on the arm over.
Yeah.
And they might have been built, it's too separate.
And the bulk is paid.
Yep, we've invoiced the developer. Got
And
it
just,
first.
it
Yeah.
struck my eye because the same company, different amounts at different times for the same lot.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's a good question.
Oh.
And then do programs such as yoga bring in more, like, are they making money? So I do know that the Parks and Rec staff are, and Mike did this a lot, to try to keep spreadsheets of their programs to, track how much they're bringing in versus like if for yoga, are they having to buy whatever supplies for, if they start a new archery program and have to buy bows and arrows, is that eventually cash flowing, So they are supposed to keep track of their programs to see which ones are profitable or losing money. We know the pool loses money.
And it sounds like she's getting a bonus, the yoga must be.
Well, she must be making money because she's getting 20% of profit.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in the yoga classes.
No profit.
Hmm.
She gets paid, and then the bonus is 20% of profit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that attend yoga.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not. Okay. That was Tim's questions on last time. And then our other questions on current. And let me know what page about or.
I see there's some purchases for furniture. Is that, I'm assuming new furniture that will go over to the building? Or we're buying?
So I know the library bought some new chairs. Obviously, that's not going to the new building. And then the police department purchased some new chairs and then some cabinets or something. And apparently they don't like them. So I don't know the chairs. I don't.
Well, anything that we buy now, it's going to the new building. We're not talking.
Well, so that was what we thought. I saw the invoice come through and I was like, oh, like they, had some money and thought we'd get our new chairs now and take them over there. So we'll see.
Well, you gotta clear that.
Yeah, they should. Right. I think the intent was, yes, we'll take them. So, we'll,
Yes, you might want to share with our department, that's.
I will say, I didn't want to say this in a meeting, but I was not happy when I saw the invoice come through.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some.
But if
That's your
he
department.
was
head
he
meeting,
was
that needs
within
to
the
be very
purchasing
clear.
policy, so he didn't do anything wrong. It
Oh, I'm
just-
not saying there, and I'm not
I
even
know.
blaming anybody. I don't want to do that, but I think there needs to be a standard saying, hey, people, whatever you buy that's going to the new building, we're not gonna buy something for here and not carry it over.
Right.
You can wait another 10 months if need be. I think that's gotta be clear. I do not want to get where it gets out, where we bought this and we used it for 10 months.
We didn't like it, we just left the chairs.
Yeah.
Which it sounds like, if they would have liked them, they probably would have. They just don't like them.
Well, because I think they just picked them out of a catalog and ordered them rather than going to a store, trying them out, or ordering one, see how you like it.
Then those can be placed in the soft interview room or.
That's, I mean, I hope they can be used
You know,
somewhere. Yeah.
Whatever, it's going against our furniture budget.
Yes.
I had one quick question.
Yeah.
What's the Lions Legacy project?
Oh, that's the pavilion down in Xander Park.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
And is that done?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so there might be some like finish up landscape, like planting grass seed or something that may need to be done here in the spring, but
And that's just passed through us. It's been paid by them, grant that they received.
Along the same lines with the new building, I see there's invoices for the architecture firm that we keep getting. Is that like a spot check every so often?
Well, there's at different steps.
Okay.
They get paid.
All right.
And it's probably not on this, but you'll start seeing for the building, we paid the first one was 5 or something. Yeah.
There was one. Was
Yeah, okay.
Last one on here.
Yeah, and that's our first bill for the new build.
But that's not above and beyond when you were concerned about the tower.
No,
Talking about, we just jumped.
no, we've cleared that. We're not paying, the architect is now paid for as an agreement. Actual dollars given to him, probably not. But
right, we've not been billed for the whole of our contract yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess that's a better way.
Because they'll be reviewing as As.
Yeah. Correct.
Well, remind me, there was asking for money or what was?
Yeah, they
we were
did.
Talking about it.
Yeah, and that went through the border, right? That was approved. They were asking more because the building was larger.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any other purchases, questions? Okay. Now we'll move on to discussing regarding the financial reports. These look like they're the year-end reports.
Without audit entries, so, yeah,
Are there any questions here?
yeah.
From a budget standpoint, in interest income, remember we talked about, so did we adjust that in our budget or did we leave it on 6?
It did not go up for the budget. It stayed the
Seems
same.
like we maintain a very conservative
Mhm.
posture. Looks like positive variance, right?
Yes,
For what part? I missed
the interest income, how we
Oh.
kept it budgeted the same, even though we expect to earn more than
But
that.
we did trim the budget in the area where we used to have a $20,000 contingency. That's been removed in 2026, and then we adjusted the health
We
insurance.
didn't use it last year, did we?
No, we haven't used it for years since, the reason that was there, because we used to not have a fund balance.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So we have now built our fund balance that we don't, there's really not a need for that anymore.
Right.
So we eliminated it.
All right.
So I have one question. This has just been a continual sort of question that I've had regarding like the water and sewer. Like I know that they're budgeted differently than the normal village is. If you go to page 47, I'll show you. It's basically, my question has always been, where inside of the water and sewer budget do they budget for the principal on their debt?
Not on these statements.
Right, see, that's where the question is, because on there it says interest on long-term debt, it's actually a line.
Yep.
There, and then you have the depreciation of the taxes. So my question has always been, where does the principal on long-term debt, how does that make it into these budgets?
So it's in the budget at the end. So on the last page, there's like cash flow budgeting and
So this is on the actual like budget. not on
the budget,
Real budget, okay.
yeah, not on these statements.
And you can find it. That's right. I was.
But on my budget spreadsheets, which here, I'll bring it up on the.
See, this, I've always been like, because I'm always like,
I just used, that's it.
oh, okay, and that's where I need to flow.
Yeah. When do we get the most recent version?
May 6th right now, it's scheduled for. I mean, the final one that they presented to the board. They're working on it right now.
Mhm.
So for instance, if we go here, balance sheet budgeting, so then here's your principal payments.
Oh.
So you have your revenues minus expenses, and then it says that generates 200,000. But then you gotta add back, or subtract out your debt payments and meters. So meters when we purchase meters, those are not expensed.
Okay.
And then you add back depreciation because you don't pay cash for depreciation.
Oh,
And so really the water is only generating 16,000 cash.
okay, I need to look. Wow, okay, that's what I've been missing.
Where's the balance? What is the long-term debt?
The actual
Oh.
balance of,
Yeah, yeah, I don't think
That's
that's
an
on there.
audit,
You gotta
no.
go to the audit report.
That'd be in the audit.
yeah,
There's a section.
how much it actually did.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be some.
And it has it broken out by year, what percent we're paying.
So yeah, that wouldn't show up on this report.
And obviously you don't book any depreciation until the auditors tell you what the depreciation is.
Correct. However, when they were here last week, they said for next year, they want me to like book an estimate and then they'll just true it up when they get here. So I'm gonna start recording something here and then cause it's roughly about what we budget. So for both of these numbers, they want me to.
They should be able to give you a ballpark.
Right, yeah, and they said that. They're like, we'll actually give you the number to estimate and then you record it and then we'll true it up. So,
Yeah, meters, because I'm
Yeah.
sure that's what they're depreciating, meters, depreciating. What else? Any other people that divide, all the stuff there.
So then, on there, the utility actually pays $150,000 in taxes.
to the general fund. Yep, so then that's on page.
So it does go to, okay, I knew that it paid some, I wasn't sure how much.
Yep, so then that gets recorded here, this water utility tax.
Probably. So the depreciation. And what, so now this is totally because I just had a question about the Dylan. What purpose does the depreciation serve in this budget? How is it used? What is it used for? Is that what we use for a return? Like, is that what they use for the return, for the rate of return?
I am
Isn't
not
that
sure how
something?
that factors into the PSC reports.
Doesn't depreciate, it's a non-cash item.
Yeah,
Well, it's trying to true up, give you an expense. So I mean, like, we're looking at it, all we do is we look at income statements here, so we don't see the changes in balance sheets. You know, in true accounting, you have depreciation as an expense, it's not cash. To kind of come down to what your net bottom line would be,
Right.
from a financial standpoint.
Got you, because you're losing value, with depreciation.
Yeah.
That's what I am,
It's
used to help give you an up-to-date value.
Oh, I got you. So then at the end though, when you do the budget, that's why you add it back, because it's a non-cash expense, so you add it back in. And then you apply the debt that you need, the cost of the meters. Okay.
And then the same reason why because principal is not an expense, it's a reduction of debt. So that's why it doesn't show up on the income statement.
Oh, right. So again, it's an expense.
It's not an expense.
It's not, it is an expense, for us, we gotta pay it,
It's fine, but it really isn't all because
Oh,
you
yeah.
got your debt here, so you're subtracting debt that's on the balance sheet.
Right.
so your debt goes down. That's where it's,
It's not an expense.
Yeah.
What did you call it? Or no, it's, you said it's a.
It's a cash outflow. Principal's a cash outflow, but it's not an expense for accounting purposes.
Accrual accounting versus
Yeah.
cash account.
Well, not even that. I mean, it's not even just the cash.
this is the
accrual.
gap.
It's a full, because under no accounting system, it's principal payment of expense.
Mm-hmm.
you just see it as
It's a
the debt
negative
goes down.
Yeah, it's a negative cash flow. I mean, that's where sometimes it'd be helpful to have like maybe the cash flow to see what we're on something. And I don't know if that's generated in that reports or not. I mean, not been.
During the year, no, I really, the only time we do a report on it is at the end of the year.
And there's a cash flow in there.
I had, my notes were, how do we explain the 150K water utility tax bill when there's no collection?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
It's on my radar too.
okay. That's magic.
It's basically taking it from your right pocket and putting it into your left
Yeah.
pocket.
Exactly,
So how is that computed? Why is that? Is that?
because you gotta account for it, so
It's
it's paper trail.
Based on the value of the assets of the water utility and then our tax rate.
Oh, you asked how they come
Yeah,
up with how.
how they compute it, like why?
Well, when you, again, like I say, the audit is, because you'll see in the audit what they value both our sewer and water at,
Right,
the equipment or whatever.
Is there a similar thing on the sewer too?
Yeah.
But I'm sure.
Sewer's a little bit more complicated though, because there's a lot more.
Sewer doesn't pay that.
No, he was talking about, all the different accounts that we have.
Sewer department.
The sewer.
Oh, no.
Why does just the water utility?
Probably because the PSC makes them.
Okay, we'll see. That.
But I'm gonna say that's probably part of it is, the water utility. You know, it's to generate additional expense of water utility. To maybe they'll justify rate increases later on and all these different things.
See, I don't.
I think it's more to take it off. It gives us a revenue that's to help us with our levy limit.
Well, that can be doing, but I think that's, I think that's more of a question, it's probably more of a question for the auditors, because because
Do we want to ask for the sewer to pay? Is that what-
No, I did ask that question. We usually meet with them, and I'll ask them,
Yeah. Why we tax sewer, water and not sewer, what's,
And I understand, like there too, there's no revenue, there's nothing listed on the financial statements all year for that, so. I'm assuming that's an audit adjustment again, they do the computation, tell you what to do. Now, maybe that's again, one of those other things we should have you compute out and transfer.
Right, yeah, they're gonna have me do an estimate.
That
No,
does
sure,
not
yeah.
at the end of the year.
Yep.
But I'm sure that has to do for helping cover costs that are incurred by the village outside of the water utility.
I just thought that was the same for sewer, just I never really looked at it that way.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's a question to ask. But it might be a rule of the PSC,
Absolutely.
you know, because that's the big difference. That's governed by the PSC, sewer is not.
I mean, maybe we have the option of sewer, us as a.
I don't know.
You say, we want the sewer to pay taxes also, we slap that on there and it has to pay the general fund, X amount or whatever.
Well, the sewer rates go back up.
Yeah, well,
Well, it's probably based on the gallons, right? I mean, so.
no, it's on the actual property.
Oh, okay. No, you know, those gallons of water.
No, this is a property tax. So.
So based on your asset value, yeah.
we take the value of it and then multiply it by our mill rate.
So in other words, like, it's a nonprofit pilot.
Yep.
Of payment in lieu of taxes.
Mhm.
Oh, right.
So I guess why wouldn't,
Couldn't we have a net asset value of the sewer plant?
I don't, you guys are way above what I understand right now, but it's a question on that.
Questions when we meet on the draft copy. I actually read it.
Rescind your question again in the sort of what?
Why couldn't we do like what's being done on the water? Like the water utility, they say this is what it's worth. Then the village applies our mill rate, we say this is how much you pay taxes. Why couldn't we do the same thing with the sewer? I mean, that plant down there is worth. And.
$5 million, yeah.
Whatever. Millions of dollars, then it's, you know, the pump station's been accepted, those are all worth, so. When we apply a tax to that as well, we wanted to tax the village wanted to tax our sewer system, similar to any other problem.
The only thing I question on that, do we pay, all the other taxing agencies?
Yeah, that was my other question, like if it's
No.
being assessed, like is the school district getting some?
Yeah.
Or is it based on the village's mill, the village portion of the mill rate?
Right, it's just the villages.
So
But
it's not.
yeah, we're not spreading it out.
You're not taking.
Yeah, see, here in the sewer one for the 12, it says taxes $4,100 for the sewer.
It does have tax.
But I think that's,
You guys got me on. I thought it was a goal,
But
but
it's only 41, it's not 150,000.
yeah.
Right.
But I,
and I was thinking that actually goes to the water.
I mean, there's a line there, so it's on page 50, it's $4,100,
Right, yeah, I know that, yeah, it's like $4,000, but I just say they don't have it because it's not 150.
You assess the fire station, you assess the EMS building.
no, we can't do those.
The churches, no. The schools, make them all pay.
Oh, we don't, I mean,
We're taxing ourselves. There's a difference between that and taxing another.
then we need it.
Yeah, yeah.
there's state laws on what you can tax on that. That's why we looked at it.
Basically taxing are really for more people, so which ultimately goes into water rates.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
but it comes back to them, so there's less that we're.
Well, it's coming from your right pocket, but there's less coming from your left pocket.
Right.
It's 150,000 less.
Yep, Jalen says same pair of pants, different pocket.
Yep, that's,
This is carrying things out further, but just a quick question. So when you reduce the water rates, does the PSC get involved in that?
Oh, yeah.
You get an increase. You get a decrease?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, any water is just like electric and gas. Anytime you need permission. Which is shocking is you actually need permission to add on to your service. And you saw Mazel got in trouble. They had a developer build a booster station. And then they gave it to the village, so it didn't cost anybody anything. They were doing another one, they caught on that, and that's totally against the law. You need permission to expand your system. Just like when we do the reservoir, we're gonna have to go and get permission to do construction. Now, they got a letter of reprimand, but I was shocked. They can criminally charge boards for not following the law on that.
Even if we're not gonna cost the utility anymore.
That's right, that has nothing to do with
It's
it.
just the services being expanded.
Because their claim is, yeah, it's not costing you now, but when you need to replace that,
Right,
you're gonna cost, and now you don't
and
have.
you don't have your rate high enough to, whatever. to-
Yeah.
Just a little bit
but
extra.
I figured it was just gonna, and it is, fines can be one, but they also say that they can hold you criminally.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would,
It was 20 years, I think.
what would the alternative be where the board refuses to allow it to connect? Or like we,
No, the board would say, yes, we want this booster, but you have to then do an application to the PFC saying, we want to expand.
if they built it, well, ostensibly they had to get a construction permit.
Oh, yeah, they did all that, yeah. No, it's that they didn't notify and get permission from the PFC. Everything else was legit. You know, because the developer built it and then just turned it over, just like what we do with lift stations and stuff.
Or wonder if the developer.
No, I don't know if people knew or not. I didn't know that until I read the article. And with this reservoir, they were saying that we need to get permission to build it, even though there's a need, you need to get permission from them, and then you follow up with the rate case.
There must be some sort of, because if you let development go in and you just install water pipes, you don't.
Oh, no.
The capital thing that. the
No,
development's going to have to
it's-
take care of at some point. That must be, has to be more.
A mechanical thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, you know.
The booster station is what, they didn't care about the pipe.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because you're still expanding the system, if you're just putting.
Right.
But.
But if it's in your service, urban service area, then you kind of already have permission.
Oh, I suppose, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, yeah, because I'm surprised they don't govern sewers.
I'm glad they don't, but they don't, yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that they govern the water part of it, but they don't, the PSC doesn't cover the sewer.
Isn't that something?
It's just
We don't
weird.
drink the sewer.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't treat the electricity either.
Yeah, it's
The gas.
it's gas, electric and water.
That's a 3-member board too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I just throw that out there. It was a pretty good article in the paper, but I was surprised how tough they got. So they only got a letter of reprimand.
Well, somebody was their way it out.
Yeah, well, it's 20 years. Jesus.
Well, when they put the sewer, this was before the one on Main Street, but the sewer line went down Valley across Main Street and then underneath the creek, and came on Bourbon and then down Bourbon. They got fined because the developer or the construction company just dug without permits. You know, came out and said,
Oh.
so you got the other end, they did the same thing. And when the board members asked them, like, okay, it's cheap to pay the fine on the second, you try to go through all that hassle, and it's already in.
Oh, there's a cost benefit for the business. Better to pay the fine than the permits and the engineer.
Years ago, that's gotta be.
Yeah.
Better ask forgiveness than permission.
For something, they'll do it.
Interesting.
Okay, are there any other questions or concerns regarding the financial reports at all? Now we'll move on to the, what is it, discussion of possible action regarding Village of Cross Plains investment calls. This was brought up because I had brought up a question about how we were allocating the interest that was being generated from our fund monies that are sitting in the bank, either in the cash vehicle or in various money markets that are collateralized, so that they're all insured. Because it seemed like all that money, that interest money, as we saw on the one report, was all being diverted directly into the general fund, which is why it was generating so much income. And whether or not we want the respective funds to receive their interest rather than it all being placed in the general fund. So if, and this is, I asked Bobby to draw up what the breakout would be. Percentage, $20,000 earned interest per bank statement, which is per month. Breaking it out with the general fund right now having $5.7 million, it would only, it's being receiving about 50, it would receive 50% of that. The library fund would receive some, that's the 130. The sewer and water that aren't in their own individual funds, I believe some of that money is in some specific funds as well. We're just everything.
So this is all the cash, but this is not all the interest. Like, once you said that, like,
Because I was like,
he replied, he's like, that interest rate seems really low. And I'm like, well, that's because this isn't all the interest. This is, so like a lot of the sewer money, like some of this money is earned in separate accounts, earning separate interest.
oh,
So this isn't exactly correct.
okay, so it is
20,500 is the interest on the general fund?
I think I think what he wants, like, don't look at the numbers because that's immaterial. It's a policy and a philosophy. The question is, how far do you break out the interest to go to the different funds?
whether or not you want the interest.
Yeah, so don't look at the numbers because that's immaterial.
Yeah,
The question I was what was the interest is what it was, and it sounds like it's not the 2% or 2.2, but it's essentially, it's like they're all like at the 4 paper, right?
it's like 3.7-ish
Yeah,
right now.
as long
Yeah,
as those are like doing,
Yeah.
I just wanted to check that.
right. We're earning more than 2% interest. Yes.
Okay. So it was, do we want to recommend that the general fund doesn't receive all this interest, which has been good because then we can buy police cars with it and et cetera. And it reduces the village's needing to have to borrow money, but we're actually taking interest that should be going to the library fund, that should be going to the water and sewer department for their needs is what's happening. And that's called interest allocation. And so that was the review of the policy.
So here's I'm glad Michael brought it up. To me, I'm gonna simplify it a little bit. I think sewer should get their money because that's an enterprise agency. Water is an enterprise agency. They should get it because part of the rates tie into, they want you to have a rate of return. So that should be in that. But everything else, in my opinion, should go to general fund. While library has a fund balance, that fund balance is built on us paying, when I say us, the village taxpayers paying more than what they're spending and it's going in. I mean, I made a big stink about it for the 26 budget. They had worked in their budget that they had a 10, 11, no, I guess it was a 16, almost a 16,000. I don't want to call it profit, but extra money, right? So what we did is we ended up, they put in a supplement budget, so we took that out of there and that brought it down to 11. I wanted to take another 10,000 out. We compromised with the board and took another 5,000. So even right now, the library has overflow of about $6,000. In 2025, they budgeted 45,000 over. So I don't think they should get the interest on that because that's our money. So I think, to me, I think the enterprise agency definitely need to get it. And I see some of that is done that way. And then the only other one that I would throw in, I think there's special occasions, like right now we're building Village Hall.
So we did the borrowing for 3 million, that's sitting in the bank, we're gonna do another. I think that should be in a separate account, and then that money gets built in because it's borrowed for this. So the interest on it should be put towards paying off that debt on that, so that's where I kind of would go on that. I would not break this down to where library gets, whatever their fund balance.
Library, my word, not yours, why are they overfunded by any amount?
Just the way they've done
It happens because the village has a set amount of money that we have been giving them, and then we say, you get a 2% bump rate because of inflation or whatever. So they use that 2% rate, but then when the county comes in with money and it might be $15,000 more than what they thought, the village isn't saying, well, now we're gonna take $15,000 back because you got $15,000 more from the county. That's why they're running an overage, because the county might come in, and because they have different revenue streams, it isn't all being funded by the village. It's coming from different places.
it. I'm gonna question that because this year, before I brought that up, I wanted to know, and if you go into their minute, they have their budget that was passed, everything's filled in except for the village's part, which I thought was odd. And then at the end, they plug that village number in. So to me, that clearly shows that 10 grand came clearly from the village. If you go to the library, when you pass that budget, the last budget, you'll see it's all written out except for the village's portion. It has a yellow bar on it, no number in it.
But is there a reason?
But that might have been because they didn't know how much.
Well, if you're saying that it's an automatic number that the village puts in every year, this number plus what we say for raises, that number should be one of the first numbers they put in.
Well, that's what I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you they did. And it's not me telling you, look it up in their minutes. Like I say, I researched it before because I didn't want to say something that wasn't correct. So that's the only way that you can explain it. Everything else was locked in except for the village's amount. And then when they came to the very end, there was this dollar amount with this 15, almost 16 grand profit.
And then what do they do?
It goes to fund balance, and if you look at,
That's why up there, the 130 is there.
no, the 246, I think is.
I'm saying fund 130 on the left side. You go 110 is the general, 120.
Yeah, 130 is.
Capital.
130 is the library, 120 is
Capital.
capital.
Right.
150 is debt service, 310 is the TID. Those are the different funds. 660 is water, 670 is sewer. So the 130 is the library. You can see in their fund balance, they have 246,000.
And that equals 44% of their operating budget. We were, yeah, I'm telling you,
What would that, the fund balance?
fund balance.
They have a large fund balance.
Yeah.
They might use that though for capital things if they want to do something where they don't come. It's possible that if they have something that they'll be like, we want to do this, we don't want to borrow money, we're just gonna take it out of our fund balance. Well, that saves the village from borrowing money, so, and that,
That's our money anyways.
well, we didn't have to go out and borrow it as part of.
No, but I think just,
Our policy is 20 to 25%, and that's a pretty common number. But anyways, we're getting kind of off the
Yeah.
subject here. The subject is what ones do we want to put interest back into?
So I talked to the auditors about this a couple times, and so the last week when they were in, I brought it up, then we were talking about it tonight. And so it's not required that we split it out. And they said it's split amongst the municipalities they work with, whether they do or they don't. They said one reason for saying don't allocate it is sewer and water, if they need cash, they can raise their rates. General fund has a levy limit. So if we put all the interest income into that, where, we have a cap, like it benefits the general fund to not allocate it.
Because we have a limit, meaning we can't raise our rates, whereas water.
You'd have to go to referendum to raise your revenue, where sewer and water could raise user rates.
Well, I think it's almost as hard to go to the PSC than a referendum.
Well, yeah. so
Right.
we-
They just said that was one other thing to help you to consider.
No, I think that's a valid point. It's just for me, I'm looking at, I guess I'm looking from an ethical standpoint.
Yeah.
These are enterprise agencies that are built on, they have to produce their own revenue to cover their own expense.
So they should be entitled to the interest because
Yeah,
taxpayers, the board isn't directly funneling money
right,
from the tax levy.
right. That would be my two. And then again, like, I can see, you have it under capital and that's probably all the money we borrowed and stuff, so it stays there. Because we usually don't keep much of a fund balance there, but, to me, $3 million, even making 3.7 for 6 months is a chunk of change that could go towards that project.
And I will say, like, in the bond documents, they estimate that you're gonna earn interest on the money you borrow. And so really, we should be keeping it either in a separate account, earning interest, or allocate interest to the capital, so.
So even really the breakout for the building money, if we just keep money that's borrowed for capital expenses in its own account, regardless if it's a building where if 1 year we spent $1 million that we put in for road things, that could still.
Right,
Yeah,
You
So-
can still just allocate money for that, and that just builds capital, so you borrow less the next year.
correct.
If you want to.
right, and I think that is something I will start doing for sure.
Okay.
Obviously started with this borrowing.
Yeah.
And then it is good practice, so we'll
So what's
continue that.
150? What account is that?
Debt service.
So that's like when we're gonna have a bunch of money we have to pay principal and interest on this year. So we get that money, those are to go pay principal and interest, like through the tax levy. It's money we ask the taxpayer to give us so we can pay our tax.
No,
It's what that is.
I know, but
We
we
have transfer from the general fund.
Yeah.
It's in the general fund.
Yeah, so I would put the interest for that into the
That's
general
what
fund.
it is.
Right.
That's
So-
basically-
Because we're gonna have a policy that we're not supposed to have much of a balance.
Right.
Remember how we
Yep.
cleared that out?
Yeah,
3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
So I don't wanna redo that.
It's like debt service.
Yeah, okay, and then,
Right.
310 is what?
Tis.
Oh, that's
No.
state statute, don't we have to?
Do you have to allocate to that?
but they said we don't have to,
On a 10? Oh, well, that's gonna be.
and that's going away anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if we keep capital in its own checking account, that's easy enough, and then just allocate out part for
The
sewer.
only, because you, I think in the discussion you said those balances for 660 and 670 also include funds that they're already earning interest on.
Right, so when I do this spreadsheet, I would not put those bank account balances in this spreadsheet.
Right.
I just put the
Yeah.
pooled kit, right, so,
Pool money. Sure.
so I filled this spreadsheet out not correctly.
Okay.
Yes,
But it was just the idea that we
Yep.
have these accounts.
This is the process of what you do, you put
We're
the
gonna want
balance,
to spread the,
yeah.
put the interest back into.
And library, are there other municipalities that help fund the library?
Just so you know, that is a very complicated system also. Because once we give, they put in a budget and stuff, but they don't have to spend the money the way that budget is. They can spend it however, they have total control. Once we give them the money, they can do what they want.
Why is that?
Just how the statute works.
Is that all libraries?
Yeah, it's a state statute, yeah.
It's to prevent an elected politician.
Huh?
So the board is.
The county pays money into the library system.
They get billed for French.
Yeah. Yeah, they can fund from the county, it's the county. Or, yeah, the actual Dane County. Dane County gives it to the library.
Yeah,
System, and then they kick it out. If I,
it's, they get money, like the more books that they lend from people who aren't in our system, they get money back from that, like through interlibrary loans, so they're funded through different mechanisms that are variable.
and their board has to be made up of like one from the town of Cross Plains, one from the town of Gary, one from the school district. But yet I have to make the appointment.
isn't that weird that they don't make them, so the town of Cross Plains picks who they want, but I have to, they're not, if I don't wanna nominate them, they don't get put on the board.
That's weird, yeah.
It's really a weird statute when you read it.
And is the intention that They don't want you to have direct control, but they don't want you to have no control.
I think what they wanted to do is have somebody in charge of appointing board, so it's read, whatever municipality the library's in has that power. Cause who, I would think it would still go by chairs, that's how I would have done it. But then the school district, they don't really, it would just be really complicated. So this way, the library director only has to respond to one person, it only goes to one board.
So there's,
It's a very interesting statute to read.
so the township portion is covered by the county, by the county
Village gives on the law.
left, by whatever the county gets.
And they can go up to 246. The only thing we could do, if we wanted them to go into that, be like, yeah, half the amount of money this year, you're supposed to get, you have to use your fund balance. And
But I think there's a in the statute too, where we can't lower how much we give them
There isn't, no,
by a certain amount, like,
yes, there's a limit on how you can, or something else, they don't get certain funding. That is correct. There is some protection that we can't bully them into being, not being independent. They're clearly independent. And there are some, she's right, there are some limits on what we can.
Wasn't it a while back, they didn't even want a water, did you remember a water heater replaced? You want the village to pay for that? In the building?
There's nothing,
You got all this money.
because they say it's our building, so we have to pay for the repairs.
yeah, it's like I say, it's very, because if you remember, we pretty much were in charge of building the building.
Right, yeah, and raising the funds, so I guess.
Yeah, we don't really have much control.
But if you look at, you can't control it, so. We pay a person $300 now a month for one, which I'm sure through the contractor, we pay a fraction of that, but they have that option to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're trying to really manage money, and then we have people that have the ability.
Yeah, never mind. But, and one of the other issues, as you probably know, EMS does the same thing, and I've been trying to get them to a zero balance, so I have them. So I think it's unfair if I'm requiring the EMS district to do this type of budgeting, which we do here in the village, to not have the library do it. So we started that trail of, hey, we need to zero out your budget. And they have plenty for, that fund balance is supposed to cover operating. If you want to build an account for capital, then it should be a separate account.
All right, so do we have are we,
I can understand, setting, maybe if you put aside X amount of dollars for capital, future capital improvements, basically as on an ongoing, rather than coming to you.
But
Let's see.
he hit it right on the thing. We had, they redid the roof, they redid a lot of stuff. Did any of that come out of their fund balance? No, it came out of our borrowing. So that is a hollow argument for me.
No, I get that.
They haven't used it in that capacity yet.
Because I'm thinking of that in my business. We have apartments. We're required to fund, so our lenders require us to put so much money per month into they call it replacement reserve.
Yep.
So that when all of a sudden if we have put a new roof on, we have 20 years on, we've got money sitting there.
that's what a lot of the sewer money is.
Yeah,
Like,
And that's
exactly how sewers.
And that makes sense, but if they're not paying for their improvements, why even have it?
Well, like I said, you need to have, I was a big pusher here in the village to get our fund balance up. You want to have a fund balance for emergencies and stuff like that. So 20 to 25.
Zero?
It wasn't zero.
No, but it was under 50 grand.
That's zero.
I would have to look, but I'll bet you in 2019, it was pretty close.
Man.
we're doing the general fund balance?
The phone balances or the policy,
Yeah.
I don't know if they updated like.
Well, we're
stating
better
about
off.
claims this language.
Yeah.
And that's just the document part of it.
Yeah.
You attach the document on this.
Yeah.
I saw that too. That list,
Oh, yeah, this doesn't get updated very.
yeah, the list of appropriated banks, like state bank draft plans.
Does it still say state bank? Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Incredible Bank now is a different name, Monona Bank's a different name. Yeah.
Well, Monona Bank is part of Lake Ridge.
Yep.
State bank.
Yeah.
Incredible's the right name now.
Oh, yeah, it is. It was,
River Valley.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we did this.
Things go on income.
Anchor Bank is Old National Bank now.
All right, well, I'll revise in 2020. Could probably, revise it.
Yeah, it's amazing how much has changed in 6 years.
I'll put that on my to-do list. Do you want me to bring that back here then, once I make revisions? Do you guys want to look at it again, or?
Did you want us to, was part of this discussion tonight for us to actually go through the policy?
Well, if you read it, you had any, I
I didn't
just,
know that was part of it.
yeah, if you have anything, I don't think we're gonna read it.
We can put that on a, maybe next month or a future one where we can revise it together. I'm more than happy to let you guys
I was
do
gonna
the
say,
work.
To be honest with you, because I got it Monday night. This is my busy time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't have time to actually read it.
Okay, well, so maybe like
That was something.
in a couple months, yeah, we'll stick it back on the agenda and
Whatever you, I want you to go to page 15. And it's in the second paragraph.
where it says
Yes.
we're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
I read this on Monday and I was like,
I
oh,
read this after you sent this out. I was like, we're supposed to be allocated to the very.
Yeah.
I.
I did see that on Monday and I'm like, okay, clearly that has never been done since this policy took effect. Because
Holy
Yeah.
crap, it's already supposed to.
I know. I did not know that.
Yeah, I was
It
like,
makes sense though. It just made too much sense.
that's when I was like, why is all this money general fund?
Yeah.
It seems weird that we're taking from all these other funds to do this. It seemed, I just was curious about it.
Yeah.
So clearly when this was written, whoever was in my position wasn't doing it. And then when I started, because it hadn't been done, I didn't
This
do
is-
it. And I,
Well,
we-
2014,
In 2020, we did it under.
Yeah. and obviously I didn't read that part.
But I don't know if that part was redone or not.
In any event, this has never been done to the policy. So yes, we're not following our policy.
Right.
So that's why I was, didn't know if we wanna, however we,
I think we just said that, and now we've kind of agreed that how we're gonna do it.
Well, it seems like what we're saying is water sewer gets their own, capital with any money that's borrowed gets their own.
and the rest goes
And
to
the rest
general.
goes to general, which I'm fine with. I don't know, I understand the point about the library. I'm still a little iffy on that one. I agree with that 100% or not, because that is their money and it being allocated to them specifically seems just and right, in my opinion, a little bit.
Well, see, because to a certain point, I agree, but the other thing is, talking about transparency, now you've been on that board too. They also have almost the same amount at the Community Foundation that they get a check every year from. And I don't see where that money's being spent. I don't see it within the budget as a revenue or anything. I know it exists because I asked Elizabeth about it. She said this last year, she did on the Spanish, converting the books from
Oh, yeah.
the Spanish
Yeah.
program, whatever. So, but what I'm saying is, I just don't think, since we don't have
All that
control,
control.
I think it's a mistake.
Yeah, because I think that check from the foundation, I think they just, they have their own checking account. I think that they.
Yeah.
Their checking account.
But don't you think that should show up on their balance sheet in their budget?
It shows up in the audit.
They don't-
Oh, does it show up in the audit?
Yeah, they send me all their bank statements and I record it.
But does it say Community Foundation and what was brought in? Because,
Oh, like that's specific.
well, it's revenue source.
Well, yeah.
Actually.
But it's not in their budget. It wasn't in their budget.
No, I
They had a
didn't,
budget for that, Robin?
That's-
I don't think they did.
No, it's not in the budget. What am I looking?
This, you see? But we can't control that. That's their policy.
This is Fund 200.
That would be the only thing I.
So this is the
Also, the
foundation.
donations,
So they earned 22,000 on their investments and got 16,000 in donations,
Okay, which one is the community foundation?
all of it.
Who's it? Who is?
And they spent 19,000.
They don't get.
I'm guessing it's
Yeah.
six, the one when I calculated it, from what they had in there, at a 3 point something, I came up with about 16 grand.
But those donations, I think, are also like from the library.
Right,
No.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't, see, that's the problem. No, the community foundation is their endowment account. The Friends of the Library, I think, is a separate entity that
They
helps.
might just be pooling all those donations.
Well, I think on there they might be saying that's donation, but I don't know. That's, to me, the money from the endowment fund is not a donation.
Is it, but if it's commingled in that 200, whatever.
No, it's not. It's a separate.
Okay.
It's a separate amount.
So why wouldn't it be a donation? It's a donation.
No, because the donation has been made. What they're doing is you get the revenue from the endowment. And that's usually in most, like when you do St. Francis, it'll say endowment, and then it says how much they have in it, and then what was the interest or the revenue that came from it. And usually endowments, you can't take principals. You only take the interest. That is different than me making $100 donation to the library.
Well, what you're saying is that 16,000 is
I'm guessing,
from the endowment to fund library operations?
if I look at that number, that's what I would say, yes. The 22,000 was, I don't know where that came from. Is that coming from?
That's their like the money they have investments.
That's what you usually spend on an endowment, you're just.
Well, what investment do they have? Are you talking about the 246,000?
No,
But what I find interesting when I'm looking at that, there's no budget. So there's no budget for money coming from the endowment. There's no budget coming from interest income. So you got, then they tell us how much they need from us.
so they have 3 different bank accounts.
So who's the community?
But the endowment would not be one of those.
That's over here, so that's.
Yeah, I must have brought it in
So this
the
account,
audit that they have that.
they just got 30 grand in that. This is just like a
The
checking
interest
account.
income would make sense from, like the St. Francis, they give out 60,000 based on
Right.
interest they made.
Yeah, we use the interest, I'm guessing, the community foundation.
So
That
here's
has
their,
hundreds of millions of dollars, so they're probably got it in all kinds of investments.
And then there is community fund.
You haven't heard,
They have $152,000.
and there.
That's imagining, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they handle a lot of endowments.
Well, they use them as their go-to.
So they're earning
Yeah,
interest.
yeah, they pool it, it's, cause then instead of 152, that's part of $100 million. Okay, so 152 there.
Money market too.
Yeah. Let's see if we can make sense of
Well,
it.
that's gotta be their,
That's got 75,000 in it.
Yeah, they were checking, they had another account, they had the account.
Yeah, they have 3 different accounts.
Well, I heard it in December, I mean, so you got 75,000 in a money market account, and you got another 30,000 in a checking account. So they've got $100,000 in cash.
plus the 246,000 in their fund balance.
Where's that 246?
That's in our account.
Oh,
Well,
In our,
we do a lot of, yeah,
I just.
So, yeah.
We're-
so the endowment or the foundation spent $19,000 last year.
say it again.
Like out of their accounts, those 3 accounts, they spent $19,000.
Oh, is that what the Fund 200?
That's what Fund 200 is, yeah, it's the library endowment.
Oh, that's
Oh,
the library endowment, that's the endowment fund.
Or it's all of those?
All those 3 accounts together get recorded in this Fund 200.
Oh, so that's not when you were looking at that, that's not the library account, that's their.
It's their special money,
Expense
yeah.
Out of the checking
It's their money that
Their
we
money.
didn't give them.
Okay.
It's their money that we have no control over.
So where does our money go to them? It doesn't go to anyone either?
No, but pays for their budget that we actually
It's
approve.
in our general.
Yeah.
Their money.
You're managing the girls right here.
Well,
We don't want
yeah,
that.
it's in its own, leverage.
But
We give them taxpayer money.
so those three accounts that you showed, they're not including any of the money that.
Not including the 240. That's where my head's going.
That's what I'm like, wait,
We're
okay,
okay, just into the 240.
So they get 240 plus these three checking accounts.
Yeah. But.
What's going?
Well, I mean, think about it. They're almost up to $500,000.
Oh,
I know, $500,000.
No,
But this goes back to like, I agree with what you said, which was like, you gotta ignore the dollar amounts. You just look at the accounts.
And what I want to do.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to like hold those two thoughts, because it's in opposition a little bit.
But the solution is different. The whole thing is fairness, right? Is kind of what we're looking at and what's best. That's why I make the argument that the interest that we get, we keep it as is. We don't feed it to the library because that's part of the general. The other ones, to me, are really logical. That makes sense that they should hold, get their interest. So that's where I'm going. This whole thing on the funding of the library, that shouldn't play a role in.
No,
Okay, so now I'm gonna cook.
but it's super interesting, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna cook your brain and get even more into the weeds. And that's just what I do. So we have a general fund.
That's why we're so happy. you're here.
It doesn't end. I want to hear your guys' opinion on this. So we were talking about the general fund is all going to stay in there. Inside of the general fund, even there are special allocated funds that have money already allocated and specifically like for parking fees for free crossing. Does that fund get interest allocated to it? So that when they build that park and it sits there for 3 years, it makes 4%, 100 grand, has an extra $8,000 to build the park.
I say no. That's,
You get what you're saying?
no, where you're coming from on that. But again, you're at the point of user fees when it comes to what your example. And to me, the user fee is that one shot cost. And if we build a park right away, there's really no, if we have to wait a while because it's done by lot, we are not going to every year, because there's 5 houses, we're gonna do this. It's a user fee, you pay for that user fee, and then that's the end of it. That's how I would justify it.
That's how I feel too. It's like
Yeah,
you put a pot of money in that the developer
yeah.
has had fun.
Right, I understand, but there would be a
nine
million individual funds inside.
No, the logic to what you're saying makes total sense. But when you balance the workload and everything, while you're saying it would end up to 8,000, we probably would have spent 6,000 maintaining that and dividing it out and having Bobby do, every year, $2.36 for this lot, $2.30 for this. You know what I'm saying?
Device, it doesn't automatically. It's very mechanical.
What is the problem?
It was just something I wanted to know.
If you did that allocation at that, I'm gonna call it sub account. That's quite what I thought.
Right.
But if you did it at that account, what would be the reason you would do that? So that each of those, the owners of those funds
Would have more money specifically allocated to.
Yeah, but the thing is, when we have a user fee that says you're good, you have for parkland or whatever, you have to
Yeah,
put
for
it.
each lot, $1,300.
You have to put, so say the developer put $50,000. That's what they
The
have
money to
to
build the park.
build the park. So
Okay, so
just because we sit on the money for 2 years, does that mean they should get 52,000 or 53,000?
Right.
No, the user.
an advantage,
By the way, we end up paying anyways.
we end up paying anyways, but the advantage to that is, okay, so Creek Crossings Park hasn't been built, and this money's been sitting there for 2, 3 years, building up, but we've been allocating interest, it's gonna continue to build up more money. It's the board's discretion, so when they go to build that park and they look at that account, they say, oh, there's $112,000 in there, and the board says, well, we only want you to build a $112,000 park because we aren't gonna give you any money. But they've already been taking that interest, and so they've been putting interest in there. They actually probably could have built a $125,000 park if it's sat for 4 years, because the interest has been being allocated to it. But if it's just 112 for the whole time, and the board says, we don't want to give you any money, then they build a smaller park.
But the point, see, to me, that is true, but,
That's the only reason why.
right, but the board could also say we only, because this is small on it, we're only gonna do 50,000.
It's possible,
And
and
then-
take the rest of the money. It definitely is, it's just.
Yeah, there's coming from private industry, I think very much in zero-based budgeting, so like, just because you got that last year has no bearing as to whether you get it again this year. So you have to like.
Yeah, but because it's an impact fee, there's state statutes that govern that.
I know. But where my head is going is like, I understand that we committed, or we didn't commit, we planned on that 2 years ago when, all this started. But now, because of whatever reason, we only want to do this, or let's say, because of this other thing, I know we only said 100, but now we do want $150,000. Like,
It basically comes down to the board discretion of what we want to spend. It's just that there are all these other sub accounts that actually have money allocated.
But
One that wanted to allocate interest to those.
I think it would open the door also that if I was the lot owner that paid that, I would say, well, no, you've been holding my money, I want the money. Your user fee was $1,300. If that's now worth $1,500, you should give me the $200 because that's my money.
But that's what's happening anyway, because they're allocating it to the general fund.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
We'll ask for.
The interest is not
Whether
being,
it's in that account or not.
yeah, but the interest is not being tied to that payment. It's being put into a fund as a general fund with the intent that we're going to spend the $1,300 that we took from it. Like I said, I think we're getting too deep in the weeds. I think you're right on a philosophy of total fairness,
Right,
but
it's just something that I recognize in terms of how things could grow if donations sit there that aren't spent. They're getting interest allocated to them, then they're making, they're small amounts.
Well, I'm laughing because of a donation that's been sitting for a couple of years.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that up.
Just,
here's
just
a look at that.
one other follow-up on we talk about like the enterprise funds and the library fund. Does the village charge back for your time, for anybody's time to the library for your assistance?
No, not, but the sewer and water we do.
You do for sewer?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would give me another reason why we shouldn't allocate money, because you're spending time.
Well, right, like printing their payroll checks and their AP checks and putting up a stamp on them. We don't charge them for that stamp to mail out their payments.
Double-edged sword, where we come back and people hire our own men, charge us more money. I mean,
Like I said, but again, I think it's a valid point that we're giving a lot of in-kind services, so again,
But
that-
she's charging the utilities for
They
their.
utilities.
Right.
A library bank, what? You said-
Estimated that if we're getting these things back, we're charging also.
Oh, so that's a reason to take.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, based on $450 a month, you're talking $5,000 a year.
That could go.
That's covering administrative services of the village employees.
I like that argument. Good
Yeah,
job, Dave. Yeah. Or else on the library bill.
Number of the month.
But I think we're rallying around pretty much,
The utilities keeping theirs
yeah.
and the debt,
The capital.
the debts, yeah, the capital keeping theirs. Everything else is going to the general fund and just, so that's gonna have an impact though on the amount of interest that the general funds earning that or interest earned each year. I don't know what that would do to what's going to be from us.
Right, I think we'll still get at least what is budgeted, for sure.
Well, why did it come last?
Because,
It's going to other funds.
Instead of the general fund getting 20,000, we're getting 10,000.
right, because we are getting
Roughly.
some of water and sewer.
Oh, I see.
We are getting some water and sewer. That's why our general fund, like right now, it only has $5 million in it, I assume, because that's all the tax money came in and you had it, right? Is that why it's at the beginning of the year or is it at the end of the year?
I don't remember if this is December or January.
That number goes.
It's gotta be December.
Is what happens. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that was like
And then it's-
the general fund balance of $2 million, $3 million. I was like, how is this producing $240,000 interest? I was like, there's no way.
Well, that balance is horrible.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, there's no way.
Water's gonna go down too. That water will go down. Sewer probably would not, because I'm guessing that some of those fund balances, but we clearly don't have 850,000 in. That is in, water fund balance. Last I looked, it was only like 123.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you got they've got investment money, so that eight
Right, this isn't, yeah,
includes money that they got.
these numbers aren't right.
Right.
So,
So 660 is water?
yeah, 670. So yeah, so that's just going to be in effect, that the general fund will be receiving this interest. With the allocation.
Is this something we want to memorialize by putting into the policy when we?
Well, it's already in the policy. The question is, do you want to take that sentence, put a parentheses, and then list them out? I mean, it's already in there that we're supposed to be doing it. The question is, do you want to make it more defined than what that policy says?
I would.
Yeah.
Well, that's, like I say, I don't have.
So we're gonna look at this policy in a couple
Policy
months anyways.
change, it needs to change.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter to me. But, that's the only thing. In here, it already says, right now, tomorrow, Bobby could go ahead and do it without needing any permission from the board or anything like that, because it's stated right in there.
It has ambiguity that it would
Well,
allow.
absolutely it does. Because it gives the flexibility.
And it wasn't done prior because the person prior to you didn't do it. So you didn't follow. through.
Right, I didn't realize we were supposed to be doing it until I read
So
this.
if you make the
on
change,
Monday.
it was after you follow. What change?
This is, I'm sorry.
So I agree with you. I think we should, when we revise, you should memorialize a little bit so that it doesn't come back that, 10 years down the road, the library can like, hey, we got $1 million in our fund balance. We're not waiting here on the interest
Yeah, you can define who gets allocated.
for anybody. I should.
Maybe it would just be as simple as, I don't know, fund receives interest from live.
I wouldn't even do that. I would say investment income will be allocated, parentheses, sewer, water, capital, and general fund.
Oh, just two.
Before that,
It's a fund based on their respective.
yeah,
You get your general capital water sewer.
yeah.
I would even go so far as use your spreadsheet that you said there, based on the end balance and their ending end of the month balance.
So did I?
Something signifying the general, so the action,
Yeah.
you know.
So that it's memorialized even to that specific, so that how we calculated it, so that somebody
Okay,
doesn't.
there was an example. They just had based on the pro rata portion.
Yeah, pool and cash, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably define pro rata portion of each fund. I mean,
Well, but that's gonna change.
It changes with the amount.
but that's what I'm saying, we should define what goes, or are we looking at a balance as, are we looking,
Oh,
like,
you're saying,
like if this is our January interest, is this the January end of the month balance?
Yes.
Or the average of the month?
So.
No.
how to do the,
How you allocate, we should
So
really define it.
Like at the end of every month, the interest gets allocated, every month interest gets allocated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we should really memorialize
Whatever the fund balance is at the end of the month. That's how-
right, because you could see when we borrow another 3 million and put it in, and that's gonna jump up that.
Right, so that, right.
So we have to say, it's the same ratio.
Right, no.
It's gonna change.
Right, but that's.
Yeah, no.
That's
So you define the funds and you define how you get
It's, well, yeah,
Yeah, how you get to the number.
You, whatever, based
Well, that one just,
on the percentage of the respective participation. The percentage of the respective participation, whatever.
we could probably do that.
That's,
But down below under the pooling one, I had a little bit different.
but I think it's a pro rate on which.
Yeah.
Percentage of the.
Are we gonna update this for next meeting?
What's that?
We're gonna update this for next meeting or?
She can bring Sam,
A draft.
a draft, thank you.
So that's me, like,
Kind of read this over the next month.
right, is this something we wanna work on together next month, or everyone work on it on their own in the next month and come back with their changes?
Well, I think it's always easier for someone to have a draft and then everybody make recommendations to the draft. Otherwise, it slows your way down. So you put down what you think is workable and best, how you understand it, we look at it and.
Okay, then if anyone wants to shoot
Yeah,
ideas,
someone reads it.
shoot me some ideas.
Conversation and understand. So.
Okay,
And we keep it as simple as possible.
I've been reading too many legal documents, so we're trying to read stuff that all shortcomings are defined and stuff like that, because it gets.
I'm so tired of meetings with numbers, it's incredible.
You talking to an accountant about that?
Yes, well, the grant, and then we're negotiating with the county on the bike path, KEP, it's just a one thing. Yeah, so you're looking at legal stuff, I'm doing a ton of numbers.
Okay, so are we good with this?
Yeah.
I think that's future meeting.
We kind of went over, but it was very educational.
Yeah.
I know, like I have a very good understanding. What we're doing is collaborative. You know, somebody from the library comes up, it's all said about it. Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, do you think you have?
But they don't even know.
So money
I
that.
understand.
We need the money.
I'm sure we've all been surprised where, you know, people come up and have like a stunningly detailed understanding of some of these things. And sometimes they're just wildly misinformed too, so.
No, it doesn't hurt, let everybody have an understanding.
Okay.
And you can change that, because it has still the village.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that.
So that all should be changed.
We don't have an assistant village administrator anymore.
So we gotta.
All right,
Yeah, I read this today, I was finding that we had to be doing it, then smoke screen stuff, when it was a lot of stuff. But I didn't find anything that drastically, don't think needed to change, already pooling money and
But we didn't move her position.
just leaving it in standard interest.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay. Move the code.
for number 5, since we're at hour and a half, do we wanna just move that to next meeting, or do we wanna talk about that?
No, let's just power it real fast. I mean, it should be pretty simple, hopefully.
I mean, cause we've already talked about it and we've already recommended that we support this, so I was not sure why we brought it back.
I think we brought it back. Do you know how much money the TID has? I sent you that email, like, is there enough to close the 214 papers?
Yeah.
So there's over the 1.05 million or whatever that needed, and that was kind of the whole thing. And that's what, I think we're just.
Yeah, I click on
that.
Well, I'm just telling you from the meeting in September with all the 5 and elders there, they were, thinking we could close it in 87. I mean, 27.
Wow.
87.
Yep,
Whoa.
Yeah, 27.
so our year-end fund balance is actually really close to what we estimated. And then for 2026, we're estimating bringing in. Yep,
Okay.
so we should about,
What does that say? What's the fund balance? 707?
so that's how much extra we'll generate in 26. So at the end of this year. So this assumes we make this year's payment, and then we have an extra 900,000 that we could use to pay off that loan.
Oh, after the 2026 payments are done, the estimated fund balance at the end will be 900,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we can definitely close the 214A because it only requires 700,000 after the payments are made.
Right, and that was about what was in the meeting, they figured there'd be about 300 grand left over to divide up.
Okay, so.
We recommend that, that's our.
Well, there is no recommendation.
Yeah, I think the minutes just say that we
State statute
supported.
Will require you to go. That's what I learned in September.
But, well, we can't close it in 2026, we can close it in 2027. Well, we can pay off this bond this year, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So,
to save some interest income or interest expense, yeah.
expense.
Yeah.
And paying that off, losing that fund balance, are you fine with that? Because if we can keep that money, if you think that it needs.
Well,
like,
since
for-
we're not
for
allocating
timing-
interest income to the TID, there's no point hanging on to the cash, right?
Okay,
That's about, like, you're bringing this down quite a bit then. But we don't
what's
really need, we don't need it.
Okay, I just wasn't sure
Yeah,
if you wanted.
get into an A.
I just wasn't sure if you wanted it as a buffer before, before we borrow money, like if that balance is there, you could go into that balance to delay like the debt,
Oh,
like going out for debt.
no,
Maybe that won't be an issue. That's basically what I'm saying, is that if it's there, we draw into it.
right, if like the capital fund borrows some of this money for the years.
Exactly, that's like what I'm saying.
Well, we usually.
Well, do you know what the interest rate is on that? I thought it was only 2 point something.
Yeah,
it's like-
it was 2.8.
2.8.
Let's say I thought it,
I guess I'm just, the one reason you may wanna keep that there, if there's something here that comes up that is asking for TIF, we can give them cash. And I could see a business coming in saying, hey, if you give me 150, I'll tear down the 2 ugly buildings there
Yeah.
and build a nice storefront with 2 floors of apartments. And if you could give us, 200,000, that would help. We could do the cash, give it, and one slow down. We can still go with that TIF until, I think, 2028 is the last time we can give money out on that. Then you can always ask for a 1-year extension. So, housing is another one. They're open, I just read it where they're opening it up, where they're a little bit more open to housing. So if someone wanted to do, subsidized housing and they couldn't get section 42 credits. I mean, I'm just throwing that out.
This is just what I was asking.
Yeah.
It's whether or not we want to aggressively pursue closing these things, or if we want to, because we can, but one, we can do it because the money's there if we want to close this
Right.
bond. Or if we want to. retain
Yeah,
the money for. we don't
potential
have to
project, yeah.
Close it, retain it for a possible project. Also, if this year's interest rate looks like it's the 2.8%. And if it's sitting in the sweep account and we're making 3.75, we're almost making a whole 1 point on base for letting it sit there. Exactly. We're actually generating.
Right, so we have to, it needs to be more analysis than just automatically doing it.
Well, just think of like debt bad. Like,
Yeah.
if you can pay it off, but like.
I think we just did the analysis. It's pretty obvious.
Well, I would like to know what we're saving. You said it's 2.8%. What's the dollar amount?
Oh,
Why would?
Yeah, if we paid it off, what would we be saving?
like a,
The dollar amount.
yeah, right here. So if we were gonna close the TID next year anyway, right? So we're not paying all these years of interest here.
Right.
So we would eliminate, if we paid it off with the June payment, we wouldn't have to pay 12,000 in December or these 10,000 next year.
Yeah, in 2026, it's
$45,000.
$45,000 versus 22 the
Yeah.
next year.
And
20
what,
the next year.
and what are we making in interest?
Like 3.7%.
Oh, do the math.
Yeah.
I don't know. Calculate.
Dollars and 1% gain is that we would actually make $7,000 by keep.
Alright, so there you go. So to me, why would we not wanna just keep it and make the money?
What I was gonna say.
Why would we wanna lose
But that's not
7 grand?
retaining it, but then we pay the $15,000 in interest. So I mean, it's.
What you're saying, it's a profit of 7,000, if we keep it in the investment it is versus what we save for paying it off. If this was your own finance, what would you do? I clearly would keep it
If I'm making more money by keeping it,
we're gonna make more at the 3.7 on we're gonna make more money than what we're gonna be paying out.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
right, that's a good investment.
Yeah, it's the opposite of the milestone.
Right.
We're like
Right,
paying way more
right,
for
right.
what
That
we're
was a different
generating.
whole story.
And that interest was like 8%. We were only making
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
whereas we're actually,
and that prevented us from closing. Cause that agreement went all the way to 2037.
yeah, that would have been.
So that's just, that's apples and oranges.
And we can close the earliest we can close is 2028, you said?
No, 20, it's not, that's what I thought.
It doesn't have any obligation.
Yeah, as soon as it's paid them according to
As
Alice.
soon as there's enough cash in the TID to cover all
It's
outstanding debts, you have to close.
I don't know how Madison keeps theirs open when they do it.
So yeah, you can't just let it keep accumulating money. Like, once you have enough cash to pay all your
Because then
debts.
the other municipalities get their.
Right, but yet in Middleton, you look, I just talked to Bob Green, they're gonna close one of theirs, and the school district alone is gonna get $1 million cash payout. Because that's how much has been built in to it, so I don't know how they do it, and I know Madison, the kid that's up by the Doyle building there, that makes so much money, they actually, that
It's
one.
like a donor TID.
Yeah, they loan out their money to other kids. Yeah, it's. So I don't, like I say, I didn't want to argue because I want to do that anyways. Yeah, that's what I said, but that's why when I brought it up, I wanted, because I thought in the statute, you need the other taxing to start a TID and to close a TID. So I asked, I wanted to see where everybody was at that because I could see, for example, the school district not needing the individual revenue right away, but building it so they get a lump sum of $2 million on a project they want, like a new softball field or something. They wouldn't have to go to taxpayer. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page that we want to close it out and do it. And that's when I was told that by state statute, once it's paid off, you have to close. Now, I gotta believe because Madison does it, and obviously Middleton does it, there's gotta be some type of loophole.
Yeah, so I mean, if something said, if the school district, they're getting a lump sum, $1 million for basically overfunding of the.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're gonna have like, if we kept this as,
We'll have that too.
yeah, it'll be 300,000 and we'll get 100,000 of that. You can't, they don't make it where, I think it's gotta be in that year, they don't make you do it the day the payment is taken out, you know what I mean? So it must be at the end of the year or something like that. But, yeah.
So yeah, just doing the quick numbers. Not paying it off, we will generate some money if it's a 3.75, but it's not, I mean, it seems like it's 3 or 4,000.
All right,
Like, it's not like a major one. We'll be
Would it
covered.
matter if we wanted to open another TID or something? Like,
you have to do it, we have to do a referendum in this village to do it. Again, our kids have been extremely successful.
Mhm.
And, this whole thing about, this being corporate welfare and stuff, people just don't understand investing. I mean, this is gonna be huge for the village. I mean, we're gonna generate, I calculated probably close to $280,000 more. When we close it, yeah, that's huge.
mhm.
So that wouldn't have happened without that hit.
So given all this, do we?
I say, I'm not in favor of.
We're gonna pay it off next year anyway.
We're gonna make that decision in September, probably.
Well, right, and in 2027, if nothing gets drawn out, it's gonna. Then.
Yeah.
And with that being said, the only thing that would drastically change is if interest rates fall to the floor.
Yep.
And
I don't even think we have to pay it off next year. I think the TID just has to give the money to the debt service fund. Like, say, the balance is 700,000. we just have to, TID has to give the debt service fund 700,000, and then the debt service fund can sit on that money for the next, 7 years and make the payments.
So the TID would have to give the debt service fund both future capital principal and interest?
Yep,
And-
Yep.
And then the debt service fund can make money on
Yep.
the capital and interest? Okay, that was,
Well, you understand, we only get about 30% of what's in there. The other taxing agencies they own part of it. We don't own 100% of that,
of what?
it's like
of
40.
the money in the tip.
No,
All of that is debt spread over all the taxing agencies, and they've all been paying, they're part of what they would be getting in tax revenues is help paying off the debt. That's not all built.
Yeah,
Schools,
this bond,
Madison College, Dane County, and us.
this bond is completely owned by the village.
Yeah, but the payment of it is, all the payment that you're talking about in the tip is not ours. But that debt can be, all that can be used to pay that debt.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So there's $100,000 in that pot, it's not all ours.
We're not 100,000.
100% we paid Madison College, but it's us.
It's broken up by the percentages.
What are we paying them though? That's what I don't understand.
For their investment, like,
Yeah, for the TID is funded by the increment.
Yeah.
We don't own 100% of it.
No.
Okay, that's all I want to make. You don't have to go any farther than that. That is what's funding this. We don't own all of it. We own about 33% of it.
Right.
That's all.
I thought you were talking about this.
So, I mean, essentially what's happened is because we're gonna have enough that we could pay it off. We were able to generate a larger tax base
Mm-hmm.
to help pay it off earlier.
Yeah.
And so if we don't pay it off early, when you accumulate the fund, well, then like you said, you gotta split the difference up between the.
Right, but
the
according to
stakeholders.
what they told me at that meeting, I'm not gonna argue, so, even though, is that we have to go.
Right,
Once,
right.
once our balance gets,
Once we pay our obligations.
Yeah, once we're in the
I
black.
get that, because why would you?
yeah, I agree. That's why I wanted to close it as soon as possible. I don't wanna keep it open until 37.
Okay, I have one other quick question. On the others report regarding the TID, there's like a $12,000 a year thing that's like development conservation payment. Do you know what that is?
Oh, hang on.
It's on, if you go to the joint review board for TID, that's where I found it. It was basically the document that,
So it's probably like this $1,500
so it's just other.
and that. This two, yeah. It's
It was
just
just
these.
a weird thing that was at $12,000 of development.
Yeah, I think it's just these other expenses,
No,
like not principal and interest, but like. So what we used to, back when Matt Shunky was here, Shanky, he would track his and Jerry's time that they spend on TID stuff. And the TID would reimburse the general fund for their labor. And I thought that was kind of like a made up number, so I just,
years ago before somebody caught on it, didn't it?
Huh?
It didn't last that long before somebody caught on and said, you can't do that, it shouldn't be here.
I think you can, I think it's bad practice, I don't know, it's kind of.
I was just wondering, because it's on the thing of conservation and development, it's a $12,000 fee for all the way out to 2035. It's like each year it's just $12,000.
Yeah.
Any idea what that was curious. And then there's a transfer out of 88,250. That's what the TID gives for the Main Street stuff.
That's the 2014 loan.
Well, no, there's different than the 2014 loan. The other one is a transfer out.
Right, that's the 2014 loan.
But not what we were just talking about. That's the,
Oh, that's to the water and sewer utility.
right, okay,
Yeah,
that's for
Yeah.
like the, right, like what the TID's portion of the Main Street reconstruction.
Yep.
Something, is that, okay, So that's that 82-25. And those are the really only two things that continue to last, that in 2027, there should be enough money to pay for.
Right, yep, so like you said, you just, when they close the TID, they'll say, okay, out of the $1 million in the pot, so much has to go to the debt service fund to make the rest of the payments on this loan, so much has to go to the water utility to make the rest of these loan payments,
And so much would go to
the sewer.
and that would just be held in their sinking fund account.
Yep,
For that money.
or you could pay it off, like, right,
Right, however you want.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds great. Those were really my only questions. Just didn't know what conservation and development. Know what that means.
yeah.
Because it's not a bond, it's not like.
No.
anything, It's just all. All right, sounds great. Again?
Next meeting stuff.
Yeah, future agenda items.
Maybe this doesn't apply to us, but is there some talk, or maybe it's already happened, of making, Mike's actions job into two different positions?
That's going to, that idea is just, if it goes, it's gonna go to Parks and Rec for vetting and stuff. His position is up for, hiring.
Just about the job, that would be something that is now talking retirement on two different people and two different employees versus one, okay. Just, so we don't need to talk about it here, right? And then, the 2% fire dues, you know, the reason I brought that up, I see we paid like $3,200 to that, company that comes and does our inspections. And I think it'd just be a good exercise to figure out how it really work, if there is a savings for us, if we separate it out and gave money we get from the insurance company to the state, for the 2% due that comes to the village, and then, passed on with the fire.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry.
The 2% fire dues that they have at the fire service.
So, I don't, where is the fire, where do we pay the 2% to?
We get money from the state.
Oh.
You know, he has a system fund working.
Yeah.
Fires has a long time, it's called 2% fire dues. The insurance companies take 2% of all the revenues they collect. And they distribute it back to the properties within that jurisdiction.
So is it just a pass through the village to the fire
Should be,
district?
and then, but they have certain restrictions on it too, as long as you use for improvement, intention, like they have maybe major, not with the purpose, whatever, but it should actually, it's really not the village's money, it's the fire district's money, because that's what it's designed for.
Right, I understand that. I thought we would just be a pass through. That's what we do with.
So
EMS.
what we do is say, when the fire department does their budget, if they say, village, we need 150,000, we levy 135,000 and then use the 15,000 fire dues to get to our 150 we give them.
Oh, I see how that would, it's all gonna come out the same.
Right. And so I've had discussions with Justin and I said, because we've talked about this, and I said, if you want us to just hand that check over to you, I said, all the other municipalities in your fire district have to do the same, and it needs to show up on your budget as a revenue. So then you're asking us for 15,000 less dollars.
Right.
So you don't get to keep, you know.
No, I agree 100% on that.
That, my only caution with that is the village pays for the inspection in the village, so that money should be subtracted, because you don't get the money from the state if you don't do the inspections. So he gets audited every so many years, if you haven't done your inspections, no more money.
Right.
So whatever we need a budget, so if it's $3,000 or $5,000 a year, we would subtract that from the money that comes through, I would think, because
Well, I don't know, who does the inspections?
you hire a company right now.
Like the village pays for it.
So why should we, I guess we have to find out.
So you're saying we should charge the fire department back for that?
Or take it off their check. Why not? Why would it? I mean, you're paying people to do the work to get that money.
Yeah. If that's how, like I said, I don't know how it works, but
Yeah, I
if
don't
that's
know
how it
how.
works, that would make sense to me.
We're, let's have that discussion next.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do.
But if you pay those directly, then
Yeah, that'd be the other option, because they gotta have the last thing, this is really out there, somebody's gonna have to go do some digging. But I heard about West Virginia, the neighboring community was imposing, 0.5% sales tax on food and beverages. All sales in their community, that's food, no one's on food and beverage. So maybe it wouldn't work so well for us. I was thinking like 50, I don't know, these legal in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
there's 0.5% sales tax on food in the stores, we go to the gas stations, the restaurants, and generate revenue back to the village to help offset.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the statute had allowed the county to do it. But I think for us, we're kind of small, and I think it would be really cumbersome.
I wonder if there's a way that we can figure out what the potential income.
I'm pretty sure that it opened it up for cities, because doesn't Milwaukee?
Yeah, you have your tax, your stadium tax, and all that, it's like 7%.
In Milwaukee?
It's like a resort tax, is that what it's called? Like a-
Well, yeah, but I think doesn't the city of Milwaukee have
A stadium. Yeah.
well, a stadium, but I think they also have a sales tax under the same statute.
I don't think the city does.
It doesn't? We'd have to check into it.
Yeah, I mean, so.
For sure, the county was able to do 0.5%, right, if they wanted to.
And
And when that came up, I thought it was opened also for cities. Now, I don't know if villages get or not.
Well,
And I thought for sure Milwaukee had done.
and I'm just wondering, this way that the state could talk from sales tax revenue bring in from it.
Yeah,
And then we know what that 0.5% is, but for the future,
right, but I think you can look that up, just like you can look up how much every community brings in wheels tax. In Dane County.
just an idea to bring in more revenue.
It's just, I'm pretty sure with that sales
They
tax.
probably have to reduce from her levy. They probably
Yeah,
wouldn't, we probably couldn't,
I don't know.
we probably reduce our levy limit though.
Yeah, well, I didn't know about that.
But states that don't do property taxes, that's what they count on. Sales.
Well, so it's got to be, when everybody who shops at the pig or quick trips, help them pay for roads or whatever that comes through. And 0.5% kind of.
But you're also hitting your own residents, and the problem, if we do it, everybody's gonna go to Madison where there isn't a tax. That, I'm just telling you, when you read the studies, that's what they are.
Not really doing anyway.
Throwing you out that it's not always, there's always pros and cons to everything you do.
We can discuss it at the next.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else, if they have any other ideas, feel free to email me and Bobby. They come up later. I have a motion for adjournment.
Motion
Second.
Okay, motion for second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Adjourned.
Me, right?
No, I'm actually gonna walk.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
I'm freezing.
I left you at the library high and dry, so I didn't wanna